Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Warren Bennett and we've got Trev patiently waiting for me to whack his tennis ball down there. And we've got a lovely sunny day for another video. So this one's all going to be about how to stop coming over the top. And I've got a lovely little feeling, very small little adjustment that you can make to stop your club coming down steep and from the outside, and a little bit more from the inside, and the club face a little bit more square. So let me just whack the tennis ball a couple of times for Trev, get him out of the way, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay everyone, so that's hopefully Trev satisfied. He's going to enjoy the sun for a little while. And like we say in many videos, if you find the one thing that can cure four, then you've found your nirvana, because what we don't want to do is concentrate and focus on four things during the golf swing, because it's never going to work. You're never going to blend it. You'll probably make very, very minor changes and you won't make the progression that you would like. So having a left wrist position that's less cupped, so that's a cupped position halfway down, and you can see now, so a cup, if you're not sure what a cup is, so it's like I've got a little kind of angle there between my wrist and the back of my left hand. So if I have a cupped left wrist at the top of the backswing, my club face is going to be open. Club face open is when the leading edge is pointing down to the ground. So you can see this is a leading edge here, it's going to be pointing down. If my left wrist is cupped, 9 times out of 10, the club face is going to be open. If I keep that cup, you can see now I'm not doing anything, I'm bringing my hands down on plane, but unfortunately because of this cupped left wrist, it's going to be very, very vertical, and the club face as well is going to be open. If I continue keeping that cup, look where that club goes. It was obviously exaggerated. Now, because I'm in this steep and a cut across position, I'm going to have to hang back from the front view. I'm going to have to hang back to get this club back to the ball. If I carry on from this steep position, I'm going to shank it. There's no room for the club to cut across. Now the opposite of that, if I had a backswing that's relatively neutral, you can see the flat wrist at the top of the backswing. Now if I keep that flat wrist, look where the club is now. So if I just change that and show you, look what happens. Cup, flat, slightly bowed. Now I don't want you going too mad with this bowed left wrist. I see a lot of teachers going too overboard. Number one, you don't need to exaggerate it. And more importantly, if you bow this wrist too much, you're going to put too much strain on this wrist. Because right now, if I'm just holding this wrist with a bow in it, if I'm holding this club, it's putting a lot of strain on this wrist. It's heavy. I can't support it. So it's going to put a lot of strain on this outside tendon or inside tendon. And any sort of wrist injury, any sort of niggle, very hard to get rid of, because we put a lot of strain during the golf swing in our wrists. And what you don't want to do is come up with a little kind of injury so you can stop playing. So very neutral. I believe in just balance, making it not exaggerated, but just nice and balanced. So if you're suffering from a cup to left wrist, just kind of flatten it a little bit. You can see the changes it happens in the golf swing there, and the club face, from open to neutral. Open to neutral. So what you want to do at the top of the backswing, you want to feel like there's no cupping at all. It's just dead flat. Back of the left wrist to the wrist there. Back of the left hand to the wrist, And then keep it. So you can see what happens. Cupped, bowed, cupped. And you can see it has a massive influence of what that club face is doing. So it's probably like a 2 foot difference. And then obviously if I carry on keeping that position, you can see the club face now wants to swing from the inside. So how do you transfer that over to a golf swing? Well, like we always say in our videos, nice and smooth, nice and slow. So I would say, let's stop and do some freezer exercises. So backswing, keeping it nice and neutral. You can have a look and check if you want. Right, drop it in the slot, so you don't want to be steep. Give the back of the left hand very straight there. Like you can put a ruler here. There's no cupping at all, there's no angle. And then you just keep it there. And you can make a few practice swings, or you can carry on and hit a ball. Guys, it's not distance. Left hand, keeping it nice and flat throughout the whole swing. You can see from the front view, I've got everything pointing towards the camera there. Tiny, 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 because you're really keeping it. So really slow, so you can feel, and still I've got that back of the left hand nice and straight on the follow through. There's no cupping. People who have a cupping throughout their swing is going to lose a lot of power and a lot of speed. Okay, so from about halfway back you can check it. Okay, my wrist is nice and flat. There's no cupping in it early. Keep it flat, keep it flat, keep it flat. Halfway down, little pump, keep it flat all the way. Keeping it flat, remember, will keep it inside. Keep it inside. As soon as I cup that left wrist, look where that club face goes. It's absolutely mad. Now, there's no question from an open position you can drop this club on the inside, but it's harder because to drop this club on the inside now, that's exaggerated, I'm going to have to influence it with my body, and that's really unnatural, especially if someone's used to kind of going this way. Yes, you can feel a little bit of drop in that right shoulder, but even if you come slightly over with the shoulder and you have a flat left wrist, you can see the club face wants to sit behind me all the time. So if you've got an aim stick, if you put the aim stick at an angle just inside the ball, just opposite your right foot there. Now, what you want to try and do, flat left wrist, flat left wrist. And you can see now it's the same angle and you can check it. Now, keeping it behind all the way down into the ball. So you're keeping that left wrist flat all the way. You're not fanning it open. You're keeping it flat, keeping it flat, keeping it flat. There has to be a little release, which I'll tell you in a bit. So down, feel it flat, can feel it, and then swing through. So that's one stage to swing through. Now what I would do, I wouldn't stop at the top. I would trust that I've got it at the top, drop it in the slot. I can see it's matching the yellow stick, little pump again and then through. Speed that up a little bit. So I'm going to say that was 1 out of 10 in speed. Let's go 3. So a little bit quicker, keeping it flat, keeping it flat, keeping it flat. So if you're losing distance with your irons, or with any club really, you're probably opening the club face and turning an 8 iron, which I've got here, into probably a wedge. So if you're really struggling for distance and you hit it too high and it kind of loses its speed at the top of its flight, then this is the one for you, because what you're going to do, and as well as the plane being from the inside, you're going to change the club face. So let me show you what that means. As you're cupped halfway down, the club face, you can see from the behind view, and exaggerating it, is open. You can see the leading edge is pointing to your left, as you can see it from behind. Now if I slightly move my wrist, you can see what happens to the club face. So there's cupped and open, there's flat. You can see the club face is now looking a little bit more towards the ball, looking a bit more towards the front camera. You can see now the club face is pointing more towards the sky, and especially if you get down to the ball. So you can see just before the ball, this is a good one from the front camera, just before the ball, there's Mr. Cuppy, exaggerated, just pointing too much towards the front camera. If I just roll my left wrist and cup it a little and just straighten it a little bit, you can see what happens to the club face. So this is all now about release. You can see my release now, the back of my left hand is now looking more towards the target, and you can see from the front camera now the club face is now delofting. So it's turning this 8 iron into a 7 iron, and that's the key. This is why all these pros, as much as they're strong and powerful, yes, and they've got natural speed, they deloft these clubs. They put compression, so they deloft it, so they have an impact position that looks like this and not like this. So it's anti-right, really. Just do practice swings. Really feel like this left wrist is firm. Keep it firm all the way through the swing, even to the finish. So if you want to do little half swings and keeping it firm there, you don't want any breakdown and the club face open on the follow through either. So back swing, let's stop up to here, feel a bit shut, keep it shut and stop here. Beautiful, look at that. Now that's that kind of position where you're looking for halfway through, you're looking for the club to be thrown down the line. You're not looking for this club face to be open and wrap round you too quickly. Stop at the top once more, keep it shut, nice and firm. You can check it, yep, looks pretty good. And then halfway down, all the way through on the follow through, keeping it nice and firm. Looking towards the camera, Keeping that left wrist nice and firm there, folks. You're not letting it cup here. So many people cup their left wrist too early. Completely opens the club face too much and puts lack of speed and compression, no breaking down at all. That is anti-right, that is, everyone. Difficult to feel during the whole swing, but what you want to do is try and keep it nice and smooth all the way through, especially if you're new and you want to try and feel these positions. You want to try and keep this as smooth and as slow as possible at the start, so you can really feel it, especially through the impact zone. Really feel this left wrist keeping it nice and firm and rotating. It will rotate naturally for you. Keeping it firm throughout. You might want to give it a little reminder, but keeping it flat, keeping it flat, keeping it flat. Even if you just show yourself in the front room, grab your club and just do some real small little swings either side of the ball. Keeping that left wrist nice and firm. There's no cupping at all. Keeping it firm throughout, folks, because that keeps your hands moving forward. If I cup this left wrist now, you can see there's stopping and there's flicking. Then I'm a real believer in just little tips like this and change, but I'm a real believer in making little changes that can really help your swing. And you can do these little half swings and stopping. And on that, from that position, you can swing all the way through. The stronger you can make that wrist, the more influence you have and more control you have over this club face. Keep it back, you can see there, because of that, keeps the club face behind me, keeps the club face behind me, keeps the club face behind me. It's exaggerated, but look how far my hands are ahead of the ball there. So you can see there how much, if you're playing in the wind, it's a real fantastic one to keep that ball down and use a little bit of delofting of that club face. Right, strong left wrist, top. That is not going high. Hope that helps. Remember, these videos are here for you to try these things. I can't pinpoint everyone's swing and what's wrong with it. There's different swings, like we said on the previous video about, last week, about using the ground. It's not for everyone, and this won't be for everyone. But if you're an over the top or an across and you don't like the look of your irons because they're going too short, honestly, give this a go. But please be aware that don't change it and don't overbow it. You definitely don't want an actual bowed left wrist at all, because that's going to put too much strain on your wrist and hold this club. Even that's now starting to hurt. Right, so all these videos I have on the channel for you to kind of dip into and give it a go. They're not for everyone. Like the previous video, I remember last week, I think it was using the ground. It's not for everyone, but it's for kind of introduce a little library into your swing. Try these things, it might work. And I'm a great believer in, the club golfer who's generally working all the time or not practicing or just playing, walking onto the first tee, needs a little feeling, don't we? If you're not out there whacking balls, and even a bucket of balls or a practice session a week isn't that much, especially to change it. But I'm a great believer in having these little feelings that can really help you, especially during a round. You might see this ball, you might start going a little bit weird, or you might start shanking it. This is a great one because it keeps that club behind you all the time, especially from the inside. So, hope that helps everyone. So, wherever you are in the world, hope you have a great golfing week. And from myself and Trev, who is just lost his tennis ball. Oh, nice and quiet. I thought it was. Oh no, there it is there. We'll see you on the next one. Let's pray for some more sunshine. So from myself and Trev, have a great golfing week, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheerio. Oh, here he is. You can say bye to everyone, Trev. Good boy. Oh, there it is.